They remember silence. Not the absence of noise, but the kind of quiet where your thoughts were the only notification you'd get. The late 80s, 90s, and early 2000s weren't slower, they were different. And the people who grew up then, their brains are wired in a way that might never exist again. There were no screens in our pockets, no instant answers, no way to know where your friends were unless you called their house and talked to their mum first. We had to wait for the song to play on the radio, finger hovering over the record button, praying the DJ wouldn't talk over the intro. Wait 3 days for photos to develop. Wait by the phone, cord wrapped around your finger, hoping someone would call. And that waiting, it wasn't torture, it was life. When you're bored, truly bored, staring at the ceiling with nothing to scroll, your mind does something strange. It wanders, it creates. That's the first thing that shaped us. Boredom was our teacher. I remember leaving the house on my bike at 9 AM, and my parents wouldn't see me until the streetlights came on. No texts, no where are you calls, just be back before dark. We were feral in ways that would terrify parents today. We explored abandoned houses, got lost on back roads with a folded map on the dashboard, made mistakes, sometimes we got hurt, and no one was filming it. There was no audience, no performance, just experience. That absence of surveillance did something to us. We learned to trust ourselves, to make decisions without checking in. We became our own witnesses. And that built a kind of confidence that doesn't need validation, it just is. We developed something psychologists now call analog resilience, but we just called it figuring shit out. We didn't have GPS, so we learnt to read maps, ask strangers for directions, and sometimes just drive until something looked familiar. We didn't have Google, so we went to libraries, flipped through encyclopedias until our fingers were dusty, or sat with the not knowing. We didn't fear being unreachable. In fact, being unreachable was freedom. You could disappear into a book, a forest, a conversation, and no one could pull you out. That created a rare skill, the ability to be present. Not performatively, not for content, just there. We didn't grow up with algorithms predicting what we'd like. We had to discover things by accident. A song on a mixtape from a friend who knew you better than Spotify ever could. A weird movie on late-night TV you stumbled onto at 2 AM. Our tastes were shaped by randomness, not data. I still have a shoebox full of letters I'll never open again. Folded notes passed in class. There are entire summers I can't prove happened. No photos on a cloud, just memories, and that made them ours. We remembered phone numbers by heart, lyrics to dozens of songs because we played the tape until it wore out. We lived like everything mattered because nothing was backed up. Talking to someone meant something. If you called, you had something to say. If you made plans, you kept them because there was no way to cancel last minute with a text. Words had weight. We didn't have instant apologies or emoji reactions. If you hurt someone, you had to face them, look them in the eye, sit with the discomfort until something broke through. Relationships were slower. They took time. You couldn't know everything about someone in 5 minutes of scrolling their profile. You had to learn them through conversations that lasted hours on a corded phone, shared time in actual space. That made connection deeper. Today's kids have tutorials for everything. We had trial and error and bloody knees. They're documented from birth. We were ghosts until we chose to be seen. They have infinite access but constant distraction. We had limited access but total immersion. Neither is better, but they create different people. And those of us who grew up before smartphones, we bridged two worlds. We adapted, learned the tech, but we remember what it was like before. The sound of dial-up internet screaming through the phone line, rewinding VHS tapes with a pencil, the weight of a CD Walkman that skipped if you walked too fast, and that memory gives us something rare, perspective. People from the pre-smartphone era are often misunderstood. They're called out of touch because they don't post everything, private because they don't broadcast their lives. But here's what that really means. They value substance over performance. They protect their attention like it's sacred. They know how to be alone without feeling lonely. That's not a weakness, that's mastery. The psychology of people who grew up before smartphones isn't about nostalgia. It's about recognizing what was built in that space between boredom and discovery. Patience, presence, depth, resilience. These aren't traits you can download. And if you grew up in that world, you carry something the next generation may never fully understand. You know what it's like to live without being watched, to think without being interrupted, to exist without needing proof, and that's a rare kind of freedom.